Not when you hold me. Your beauty weighs on me.
I've been having a pretty, I don't want to say tough week, but like a lot of realizations. And this morning I woke up and I couldn't sleep last night again. Lately I haven't been able to sleep. It's like my body's tired, but my mind is awake. And like I said, that's when I need to, something wants to come out. And I believe when you have a gift, when God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, when they give you a gift, that is your gift. That's your talent. That's your trait. And it's what you do with the gift that is the gift to God, to the universe, to yourself. Because ourself is this godlike creature. Just learning about ourselves through observation, matched with, action, intention, whatever. I was talking to my grandma, and I love my grandma. And I come from a long line of teachers, actually, a lot of educators. And one day I was washing her back, and I said, Grandma, I said, what if, she was talking, we were just talking about like our gifts and her past. I went through her baby book. My grandma basically raised me. That's why I'm like a 80-year-old, 25-year-old. But I said, Grandma, I said, what if you don't want to teach? I was like, what if I don't want to, use my gift? And my grandma said, she said, well, you don't got a choice. I kind of looked at her and she was like, it's what you're good at. So you do it. My grandma was my kindergarten teacher, like my actual kindergarten teacher. I just went to the same school that she worked at. And something that I know is I enjoy teaching, I enjoy educating in my own way. In my own way. That's the important part. Is it might not make sense to people, but it's like you're not taking my class. And today I woke up and I saw something and someone was like, read a book, read a new book. Page 13 has a message for you. So I got up and I use the universe. I've said this before, as a big giant quantum computer. So I read my reality very clearly. So I got up and I was drawn to this book called In the Light of Truth. And I go to page 13. And I read it and there's the message. The chapter is called The Call for the Helper. It basically just talks about the individual and how you have to realize that this whole life is an observation. But the you that is observing is the one that has the weak force, the one that is mainly influencing. But if you're not aware of the true you, the light, then you can fall to false conclusions. You can put yourself, your character, so put Imani on a high horse or whatever. And the trick is to essentially knock that self down and to just let that self trust in the light that you are and where you're going. And I actually went through a couple other books I looked into. Beyond Ascension, the page 13 was about chakras, chapter 2. And it's funny because page 13, now that I just looked at it again, keeps leading me to the chapter 2, the next chapter, the next part after you've had an awareness. I think of the angel number 311, awareness, accountability, creation. Technically it's 113, but it's once you have awareness for something, you take accountability for it, and then you act on it to create. You act on it however you want to create your own life. Doesn't matter what people say. But this chapter is how to open, anchor, and activate the 50 chakras. There's so many chakras. But it's not about knowing everything. It's about knowing what's important, with the knowledge that's important for you right now. The last video that I just posted was 28 minutes. And I deleted like still 15 minutes out of it. I was like, this isn't important. And to me, it's Gemini season, being able to see what information pertains to where you're at right now and what doesn't. And that's the polarity of Gemini. It's into Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the teacher. Once you have the information, you're able to take it and put it into a good container with the right aspects. That's a motorcycle. spiritually, motorcycles represent individuality, which is perfect because it leads me into my next thing. I start looking at just my bookshelf. You know, I have a early childhood education. One of my favorite classes that I took for that degree was children's literacy, understanding children's books, breaking down complex topics and turning them into children's books. I looked at this book, Love You Forever. My mom used to read it to me all the time. And I read it. I went to page 13. And I just noticed the teddy bears. Teddy bears represent holding anxiety, any worries. This is my teddy bear Coco. I've had since I was a kid. When I learned that in life, there's always going to have to be a sacrifice, I sort of, and this is when it comes into like esoteric knowledge, witchcraft, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I just call it science experiments, quantum entanglement. If we are all everything, I am this teddy bear, I am this file cabinet, or this drawer, I am this bookcase. I don't see myself as separate, so the anxieties, the worries I might be holding, I put them into the teddy bear. And the teddy bear is a representation. I put it over my heart, and it's like an energetic quantum entanglement, taking the energy out of me and putting it into a different aspect of me. And then I just make sure I ground and I send that energy out, which I do need to do. I have these books. I used to read them when I was a kid, but this one's called Stephanie's Ponytail. And this is when everything clicked. Remember how I was talking about individuality? I mean, the world showcased that too. Individuality, doing what you want, releasing this expectation of there being, you know, a glass ceiling. Am I using that right? Stephanie's Ponytail. I bought these books a long time ago because they were just books that reminded me of my childhood, but everything has a reason if you can look deep enough. And that's why whenever I do sessions or readings, the conclusions that I get to take a journey that people have never seen before. The book, it's called Stephanie's Ponytail, and basically she wants to wear a ponytail, and everybody, she wears a ponytail. Her mom puts a ponytail in her hair, a regular ponytail, and everybody says, they say the same words. They go, ugly, ugly, very ugly. And her response is always the same. Stephanie said, it's my ponytail and I like it. So this is the next morning when Stephanie went to school. All the other girls had ponytails coming out the back. Stephanie looked at them and said, you are all a bunch of copycats. You just do whatever I do. You don't have a brain in your heads. And so that's basically the setup of the whole book. The next morning, the mom said, Stephanie, would you like a ponytail coming out the back of your head? Stephanie said, no. And then her mom said, and this is when it gets interesting because I love my mom, I do. Everybody should, but it's funny because they are the past generation. They're not going to understand the new ideas, the new awareness that you have, the new roads that you see. In this book, it's just really interesting. This was one of my favorite books as a child. It was always teaching me to be the individual, to always, you know, see the next road, even though other people don't understand that there might even be a road, a walkway over there. Her mom says, then that's that, said her mom. That's the only place you can do ponytails. No, it's not, said Stephanie. I want one coming out the side just above my ear. Very strange, said the mom. Are you sure that's what you want? Yes, said Stephanie. So her mom gave Stephanie a nice ponytail coming out right above her ear. So because she was sure of it, her mom was like, all right, bet. Fast forward, she goes to school. Everybody says, ugly, ugly, very ugly. Stephanie said, it's my ponytail and I like it. People make fun of her, they giggle. And then it talks about how the next morning, everybody comes to school with ponytails on the side of their head. And the book continues. She does one at the top of her head. All of these. But this is the next part I want to show you. I get to this part of the book where she wants a ponytail at the top of her head, in front of her, where she really can't see. And I'm reading, and I see right here, this is how I read the universe. On the way to school, she bumped into 4 trees, 3 cars, 2 houses, and 1 principal. I just realized I was making this video looking like this. 4 trees, 3 cars, 2 houses, 1 principal. 4, 3, 2, 1. Yesterday, this is what's interesting, is yesterday I wrote on the bottom of my feet. If you've ever gone to a session for me, you know I'd be writing on my feet. Our body is like it's an entity. When you have tattoos, when you write something on it, it creates talismans. You know that from my quantum superposition tattoos on my hand and my wrist. But here I wrote Psalms 23:4. Psalms 23:4, which is like, even though I walk through the valley of death, I know that I'm protected by God and His staff. Right now, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of, I call it opposites, a lot of contrast to what I know that I am. And that can be scary because in life, all you have is your awareness, is your attention. So if I'm paying attention to the contrast, then it's not contrast, is it? It is what I am. So that's why it can be pretty hard, especially when people, let's say, you have love problems, money problems, because how can you possibly sit in stillness and in gratitude with yourself and ignore those things when, you know, it's obvious that it's there? It's scary, but that's the whole point in the journey, is you continue to choose yourself despite people saying ugly, ugly, very ugly, and you say, this is my life and I like it this way. And eventually the universe folds and gives you exactly what you are. And people even start copying it, because at the end of the day in life, what we really want is the truth to ourselves, is to honor ourselves. One of the greatest things my grandma taught me as a teacher was lead by example. I can't, you know, open my mouth and say I'm doing all these things and not be doing it. And anytime I've gotten a reading, and it's not often, but they tell me, I asked about my theory and I say, is it going to work? And they say, yes, the theory works if you work. That's why people like Einstein and all of them, they sit and they plug in their life into what they're doing. And then it comes out in reality. It's really funny. I actually think about this a letter that Einstein wrote somebody one time. And he was writing to a friend and just talking about life. And then he said, P.S. I figured out this law of motion and it works in my life. He was like, so I hopefully it'll eventually work in reality. These scientists, of course, it doesn't make sense, because in order for it to make sense, you have to do it. And then you have to experience contrast so much, sometimes so, depending on how strong it is, that the world has to be like, no, 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 all the way until the world says, okay, I seem to not be able to change your mind. The next pages is basically the next day. Everybody comes to school with ponytails in front of their head. And Stephanie goes, I'm sick of you guys copying me. Tomorrow I'm going to shave my head. But the next day, everybody comes to school with a shaved head, but Stephanie comes to school with a ponytail. To me, in life, all you have is yourself and your awareness of self and your quantum state. And in life, when you express a new quantum state, the universe has no choice but to bring you the opposite, because it is a test of, are you really in that state or not? Does this foundation really hold well or not? Can you continue to be this thing that you said that you wanted to be despite contrast? And when you have the courage, the confidence, the love within yourself to continue to be that person, that being, to exist as your thoughts say you are, and actually act on them. Because remember, thoughts, yes, create our reality, but you are nothing if the thoughts stay in the mind. You have to apply time to it. You have to collapse things into matter. Action is the thing that moves the story along. Because in life, all you have is your experience and the time you've spent and the awareness that you have in that time, the reference points. So once again, it might not make sense to people. People could look at me and say, ugly, ugly, very ugly, stupid, stupid, very stupid. But it's my life and I like it. And what I want y'all to just take from this is, that's how life works. That is quantum entanglement. For every state, there is an equal to opposite state until one day things just click and you're all on the same sides of the same coin. I just woke up like an hour ago. But this is my meditative practice. Meditation is just connection, and the way that you connect is in your own way. And as I was reading this, it became very clear, very apparent that this is what I wanted to share today. Because after today, because of this experience, speaking to myself, I don't have this clouded mind because I didn't go on my phone or I didn't talk to anybody right in the morning. So I have a clear head to be able to connect with myself. And that becomes this foundation that I can stand on for the rest of the day. I'm able to make more aligned choices, aligned with the truth of who money is. Like, I want to go to Barnes & Noble and find the other books. I was going to say, I hope that makes sense, but like always, it doesn't have to make sense for you because it makes sense for me. Thanks for listening.
Listen.
I just finished editing. Look at this look. Look at this fit. Oh, it's the socks. Hilarious. Anyway, I used to be really self-conscious about my hair, but this is me. Nobody could copy me.